Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to go over the basics of how to use Teamio Tasks to assign tasks to multiple employees. So far, we've been able to assign a task to a single individual by tagging only one person. With the recent update, now you can also tag multiple team members to one task. We're also going to cover some of the drop-down options you see here to cover the basics, as well as another recent filter we've introduced with a recent update. All right, so let's go ahead and start creating a simple task. So far you've been able to create a task, something like this, order paper, and then you pick a user that you want to assign it to, okay? And you add task. By default, now this person will get a notification on their end and the task is assigned to them, all right? And it shows up under this section, task created by me with a default date of due today, all right? Of course, you can click on it. With this panel, you can change the due date, et cetera, leave a comment, whatever you need to do, all right? But now, to one task, you can now attach multiple team members or tag multiple team members, all right? So let's say you have a one-off task that is not non-repeating. For example, order resin for 3D printer, and you'd like to assign it to multiple team members, maybe in the back, your clinical assistants, whoever gets to the task first because you want this task done as soon as possible, whatever it is. Okay, so let's say I'm going to assign this employee, then I'm also going to tag my other clinical assistant, all right, and then add task. Now, again, this task shows up under task created by me. It will now get the attention of these two team members. Now, what this means when a task is assigned to multiple employees, this task will show up for both of those team members under this section, task assigned to me. For example, order resin for 3D printer, that's the task. And let's take a look at this team member, Sohali. I'm going to switch to a browser that I'm logged in as that assistant, okay? So here's that assistant here. And that task does show up under task assigned to me because I just assigned the task, order resin for 3D printer. Okay, it's under that assistant section. All right, now let's switch back to me. I created the task just now. Okay, so that's a very simple task, one-off task that is non-repeating. So now let's show you an example of actual repeating task. So let's say you need to make sure you want to assign a task to make sure all the lab cases have been checked in. And let's say it's a repeating task because it's a daily routine in your office. All right, make sure, you know what, I'm also going to do something like this. If you hit Control B, you can actually set up something like this, daily routine, and hit Control B again to bring it back to normal. If you hit backspace, it can't, and type again, it's still bold. Just hit Control B again and start typing the task. So daily routine, and you said make sure all lab cases checked in. And now I'm just going to tag all my clinical assistants in the back who are responsible for doing this operation. There we go. Add task. Understand when you do that, it's not a repeating task yet. Okay, it falls under due date of today. So now to create it, turn it into a repeating task, you would just click on it. Under this panel that opens up, you just say set it to repeat, repeat daily, and hit save. All right, and now that task becomes a routine daily task. And the way you know that is if you hover over it, you see this little icon, this task repeats daily. There's a little indicator there that shows you that, okay? And also let's switch back to the assistant view. And here it is, it shows up under her section, daily routine, make sure all lab cases checked in, all right? And it's also showing as a repeat task and it's showing up under the correct section under that assistant. So whenever they're logged in, they would see this in real time that, okay, I've got a daily routine of checking, making sure all the lab cases are checked in. Okay, so let's just say the assistant marks this complete. It's 2 p.m. or whatever it is, middle of the day, they mark it complete. Okay, now I'm going to go back to, this is again my view. So I will see it. Let's say I'm the owner, the manager, and I'm just checking whether things are being completed. Okay, so I see a daily routine, make sure all lab cases checked in. It was completed. And you can see that by this gray little cross that you see. And on the right side, this is also as a result of another recent update, it shows you that it's completed and when it was completed. So it was completed on July 28th. If you click on it, because it was assigned to multiple team members, we also introduced this section, who it was completed by. Because you'd want to know, it's kind of like an audit trail that when you could have created the task 2 weeks ago, but now you may want to know who completed the task and when it was completed. All right. So it was completed by this assistant and when it was completed. All right, so that's that. And again, because it's a repeating task, it's completed today, but then once again tomorrow, it will show up just like this. It will not be marked completed. It will just show up like this, and it'll have today's date, which means due today. All right. So I hope that helps. I will have a separate video on how to use repeating tasks. And I will link it with this one as well. All right. So you guys will be able to understand more about how repeating tasks work. All right. And continuing with the flow of assigning multiple team members to a task. Another task that you could have is a task that is created automatically. You may not have even created it. For example, this task here, prep, design, and submit case to Arch form. This is a task that I did not create, even though it falls under task created by me, because it was created as part of an automation workflow when an appointment was marked completed for this patient here. Okay, so it tags the patient. Appointment was completed on July 26th. It tags the two team members because that's how we design the workflow. And it tags what kind of workflow it was. And this specific workflow is appointment completed. I will have a separate video on that. I don't want to get into the details of that, but just to show you real quick how this task was generated is if I head over to my workflow, and because it was part of the appointment completed workflow, let's show you what it looks like and how that task came about. If I go here and I click on Assign Teamio Task, there it is. It was clear aligner records. And the task, whenever this code is completed on Open Dental by your front desk, when the patient is checking out, it will automatically assign a task to these two team members, okay? And that's the task description. And it will initially have a task due date of default immediately because it will be due today. You could choose to have it customized as well. All right, let's go back to tasks. So you have a one-off task, you have a repeating task, or you have a task created through automation workflow that you could tag just a single team member that you could assign to or multiple team members. All right. I do want to also go over some of the drop-down options you guys see here, okay, and the recent filter that we've just introduced as part of the update. So when you're looking at this section, when it says show all tasks, obviously that means you're going to see all the tasks regardless of its status, whether it's completed or it's incomplete. So that's why you see completed tasks here and all the other incomplete tasks here. When it shows up red, like you see it's red on the left side, the left icon, the check mark icon, it means it's past due because it was due on July 26th. All the yellow ones you see, those are active that are either due today or in the future. Okay, so now if I just want to see, I just want to see incomplete tasks. Now it will only show me that, whether it's due in the past or that's coming up and due in the future, right? I can also see tasks that are overdue, meaning only one of them is overdue because we never completed this task. It was due on July 26th, all right? And then you also have an option of deleting all completed tasks, which we do recommend over time as you complete your task. You can individually delete them by going over the task here, but you should also get in the habit of keeping this task screen clean by when you do mark them completed and you don't need them, you can just say delete all completed tasks and it will remove them from this list here. All right, so that's that for all the drop-down options. Let's look at what this filter is. Include tasks that were created by me, okay? We have a little help indicator that says checking this box will show you all the tasks that are assigned to you, regardless of whether the task was created by you or someone else. What does that mean? Okay, it means, for example, I'll just give you an example. If you say order paper, okay, add task, it shows up under task created by me. You kind of have to look for it. It's down here and it's due today because you just created it today and it's due today. By default, you created it. That's why it falls under this section. And the person that it's assigned to is yourself because you didn't tag anyone in the task. So, okay, so pretty simple task. Now, you also have a section called task assigned to me. So for example, if you have an insurance coordinator, I'm going to jump to another browser where an insurance coordinator is logged in, and I'm going to assign a task to Dr. Shah. Need detailed narrative for whatever patient. You can tag a patient here, and then I will just tag Dr. Shah, okay, and add task. All right, so now for that person, it falls under task created by me because she's the insurance coordinator logged in. But this task on my end, Dr. Shah, it shows up not under task created by me. I didn't create it. It was assigned to me. So that's why it shows up here. So need detailed narrative for this patient, and I'm tagged in it because this task was assigned by my employee. Now, we recently had a request from an office that said, hey, so now you could have tasks that you created or tasks were assigned to you. So you kind of have to look in multiple spots for tasks that you need to do. What this office wanted was a way to just consolidate all the tasks that were assigned to me that I'm responsible for. So, okay, so that's why we introduced this. Include tasks were created by me as well. Okay, so now you're going to see that task here, order paper, because you're the creator and it's also assigned to yourself. That's why it's showing up here. So now I don't have to go down and check for anything. I can just stick to this section on the top, just say, okay, these are all tasks that I'm responsible for. Either I created them or they were assigned to me by somebody else in my office. Okay, so that's how that works. Every time if you log out, it does save this, so you don't have to keep checking this off. All right, so if I log out and log back in, this will still be marked off, and you could leave that off. All right, but I like to leave it on. All right, so that's how that check mark works. All right, so we went over how to assign multiple employees to tasks with 3 different tasks, whether it's like a one-off, a repeating, or automation workflow. We went over the drop-down options as well as the new filter. I hope this was helpful. And I will have a separate video on automation workflow, as well as how to use repeating tasks.